Hey boys and girls, so today is math class and we are going to be practicing dividing decimals. I know that before we got out for the break we had started the first few lessons on this topic. We are also going to be this week doing multiplying decimals, but I knew that you would have more questions with division of decimals, so I wanted to do that one first. So today we're going to be picking up on the patterns of the powers of 10 when we're dividing decimal numbers. So the first problem that I have is not in your packet. It's just an example that I have from our Go Math book that I'm going to be working out with you. So it's a word problem that we're starting off with, and it says the Healthy Wheat Bakery has 560 pounds of flour to make 1,000 loaves of bread. Each loaf contains the same amount of flour. How many pounds of flour are used in each loaf of bread? So they're wanting us to use our patterns with our decimals in order to solve this problem. So our essential question for this lesson will be, how can patterns help you place your decimal point in a quotient? And remember, the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So we're going to be looking at patterns. So our pattern that we're looking for, we really want to get to the part where we're looking at the number 1,000. But we're going to start with dividing 560 by 1, 560 divided by 10, and then we're going to continue the pattern and we're going to move that decimal point. And this is our favorite one. These will actually be our Beyonce problems. So here we have 560 divided by 1 is, of course, 560. And remember, I told you what I did with this is I would go ahead and write 560 because all the answers are going to be dealing with 560. Now, where we put that decimal point will determine the value of that number, but we're just really looking at the 5, 6, and 0. So now we know that all numbers have a decimal behind it, even though we can't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and place that one on the first one because we're dividing by 1. We know 560 divided by 1 is 560. Now on this problem, we're going to be dividing by 10. And I want you to think about this logically. If you have $560 and you're dividing it by 10 giving it to 10 different people, your number isn't going to grow. It's actually going to get smaller. So it can't be more than 560. It's actually going to go down. So we are still looking at that loaf of bread problem, but I just want you to think about it logically. So we have 560 divided by 10. So I have how many zeros in this problem? I have on the 10, we have 1 0. So I am going to move that decimal point to the left, 1 place. So we're going to jump that decimal in front of the 0. And so that answer is actually going to be 56. Okay, on the next problem, we have 560 divided by 100. We have our original problem, our decimal was here. Okay, so now I have 2 zeros in my problem. Behind the 100, there are 2 zeros. So this decimal point is going to jump to the left 2 times. 1, 2. So it's going to jump between the 5 and the 6. And so now I'm looking at 560 divided by 1,000. Okay, so here we have 560 divided by 1,000. We have 3 zeros here. So here are 3 zeros. So my problem, my decimal point is going to go back to the original. We're going to jump it 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. So my decimal goes in front of the 5. And a way that I can check to make sure my work is accurate, I'm going to look to see how my decimal jumped. It was behind the 0. Now it's in front of the 0. Now it's in front of the 6. And now it's in front of the 5. And so back to our problem, they wanted to know how many pounds of flour are used in each loaf. And we were dividing by 1,000. So if I look back at my problem, here is my answer. So basically 0.56, which is about, if we thought 56 cents, that's half of $1, 56 56 that would be like half a bag, half a pound of flour, okay? So here is our answer. So now let's practice doing one from our page that we had in your unpack it. So the page that you're going to be looking at looks like this. Division, decimal division patterns. That's the one that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write down, and if you want to, you can use the back of this sheet, or you can get some paper. You can pause the video and go get you some paper and pencil so that we can work out these problems. So the first problem that we're going to be looking at is 2.5 divided by 10. And then we have 2.5, 2 and 5/10 divided by 100. 2.5 or 2 and 5/10 divided by 1,000. And 2 and 5/10 divided by 10,000. Okay, so now I want you to notice the one thing that's really different with this is that we already have a decimal in our problem. In this problem, we did not start out with a decimal in our problem. So we have to be mindful of that when we're dividing it, we are already going to have that decimal in there. Above the problem, I want you to go ahead and write down 2.5 divided by 1, because we're used to seeing that 1 in our pattern, and we're going to squeeze that in up top. Okay, so we know that 2.5 divided by 1 would, of course, be 2.5. That's our first answer. Okay, so now we're going to be dividing it by 10. Okay, so we're going to look at this number. We have one number behind the 10 that's got a 0. So that 1 0 is going to make that decimal point jump one place to the left. Okay, so it was the decimal was behind the 2. Now it's going to jump in front of the 2. So our answer is going to be 0.25. So it was behind the 2. Now it jumps in front of the 2. Okay. Now looking at this problem, we're looking at the 2 zeros. Okay. So we're going to go back to that 2.5. This needs to jump. I'm going to write it right here how it is so we can watch it jump. So it needs to jump 2 places to the left. To the left. 1, 2. So I'm going to put my decimal here and erase this one. And guys, we saw that it created a loop. And when we have those loops, we add a 0 in there. Okay, so now let's try this one. 2.5 with 3 zeros behind it. So we're going to have 3 jumps to the left from our original number. So if I have 2.5, 2 and 5/10, and I am jumping this decimal point, I'm going to jump it 3 places because we're doing 1,000. That's 3 zeros. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to put my decimal point here. Well, now I have created 2 loops. So now I have 2 zeros. So I'm no longer 2.5. My answer is decimal 0025. So that's going to be my new answer. Okay. Now I have 4 zeros. So my 2.5 that I originally, my 2 and 5/10, is this decimal is going to jump. It's going to jump 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to add a 0 in this loop, a 0 in this loop, and a 0 in this loop. And I'm going to take that decimal away. So it's decimal 000025. So this will be your answers for the first part of your sheet in the box. That first page. So we're having, I'm going to let you that. If you want to pause it, you can to look at our answers. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the next section. Once again, we're going to have a decimal in our problem before we get started. So we're doing 40.5. So 40 and 5/10, and I'm going to write divided by 1 because we're used to seeing that in our Go Math book. And so I think that that helps us if we stick to what we've been doing. So 40.5 divided by 10, 40.5 divided by 1,000, and 40.5 divided by 10,000. I don't even have enough room to write my answer. I'm going to have to write it below it. Too many zeros, people. We're dealing with too many zeros. Okay, so we're going to say 40.5 divided by 1. Of course, 40.5. Okay, so now we're going to have 1 0 here, 1 0 here. So this needs to jump 1 place value to the left, to the left, to the left. So it was behind the 0. Now it's going to be in front of the 0. 1 hop to the left. So for this answer, my answer is going to be 4.05. And now watch it. We're just checking to make sure it was in front of the 5 and then it moved in front of the 0. Now, if you think about the pattern, the decimal is now going to jump in front of that 4. It's like it's jumping line. But let's go ahead and double check. So we have 3 zeros behind the 1 here. And so we'll stick to our pattern. We're going to go up to our, oh, this one should be 1 0. I'm sorry. This one has 2 zeros behind. I was thinking that ain't going to follow our pattern. So here it's going to have 2 zeros behind. I'd written 1,000 instead of 100. And so now I'm going to look back at my original number, and it's going to jump 2 places to the left, to the left. 1, 2. So it will jump in front of the 4. Let's watch it one more time. 2 zeros are going to jump at 2 places to the left. 1, 2. 4.05. And now this one needs to be 1,000. I didn't have y'all here to correct me. What am I supposed to do? I'm teaching to a camera. Okay, so this is going to have 3 zeros. So this decimal point has to jump 3 places. So let's try it right here. I'm going to do it right here so you can see it. So we're going to jump it 3 places to the left, our Beyonce problems. 1, 2. So it's going here 1, 2, 3. I created a loop. So I'm going to have that 0 in front. So my answer for this one is going to be 0, 4, 0, 5. And you can pick up on the pattern. The next answer when we're dividing by 10,000 is going to be taking that decimal away and adding another 0, and boom, there's our next answer. So we're just continuing the patterns for dividing decimals. So on your sheet here, 9.69 and 6/10 divided by 1,000. You would just write out your problem just like we've been doing. Start with 1. So 9.6 divided by 1. 9.6 divided by 10. 9.6 divided by 100. 9.6 divided by 1,000. And then you'll get your answer. Don't try to shortchange it. Just go ahead and work it out so you get the answer the right way the first time and you don't have to rework it. Guys, with this distance learning, you're going to be responsible for your learning. I'm going to give you the information. I'm going to present it. I'm going to help you as much as I can. But now is the time where you're going to have to really think about, hey, this is my education. And in order to do well, I'm going to have to really work. And I'm going to have to make myself do things that normally maybe the teacher made me do. You are becoming mature, so this is part of it. And I know that you're going to do a great job. Okay, let's look at the next one, 89.2 divided by 100. So I'm going to circle this problem. If I was to actually work this out at home and I was setting up this problem, I would show you how this is how I would go about working it. I would say, okay, 89.2 divided by 1 equals, okay, that's how it's set up. Now I would do 89.2 divided by 10. And I'm jumping that decimal point 1 spot to the left. Okay, then I would do 89.2 divided by 100. Then I would jump that decimal point 2 places to the left because I have 2 zeros. And so this is the one, I did this to get me to my answer because this was the answer that I was seeking right here. And that's the problem. So this is how you're going to practice these. Try to make sure that you're writing out the pattern so that you get used to seeing that pattern when you're dividing decimals. I hope you had fun today. This was math class, and I will be posting some more videos on multiplying decimals a little bit later. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye. See you soon.